Okay, in this video, I'm going to give a personal experience on a job that I almost got fired at. And it was in one way a terrible experience, but also an amazing experience in another way, because it kind of opened my eyes and unveiled a lot of unwritten rules that companies have and jobs have, and rules that you probably follow that you might not even need to at the end of the day. So I'm going to talk about this job, and before I get into that, check out the OverEmployed Masterclass if you want to learn how to become and stay overemployed. It's in the description box and the pinned comment down below. It's just a shortcut to becoming overemployed. Okay, so I had a job, and before I get into the job, for more context, I am an engineer, right? So I'm a coder, I code. And I had a job where it was pretty standard interview process. I get the job, I get the offer. The job was relatively interesting, actually a little more interesting than most jobs, and the work was good. And me personally, I take pride in completing work, right? So I like being successful at work. I will never be one of those people that will be overemployed and barely scrape by to get work done, right? So I take pride in getting my work done and doing it well. And it started off very great with this company. So onboarding started, obviously nothing out of the ordinary, pretty basic things, at a normal company. And after a few weeks passed, and honestly even the first couple weeks, I started picking up on a huge trend that my team on this company followed. And this trend was pair programming. Now I say trend, but in reality just a work style, right? So the reality was on this team, almost all the engineers wanted to pair program almost every task. And I'll be honest, this was really foreign to me. So I've had a lot of company experience where I've pair programmed with people, especially when I didn't understand something or the other person needed help. But no, this company did it regardless of if you got it or not. They didn't want you to do basically any independent work. So they didn't really force you, but it was kind of like an unspoken rule that everyone on that team, every engineer, would have to pair program all day, every day. So I'm talking even a task that you can do alone. You hop on a Zoom call, you sit on a Zoom call for 3 hours with the other team members, and you get it done. And sometimes you switch whoever's coding, whoever's writing code, and the other person gives input. And basically, if you could imagine it, you just get one huge headache by the end of the day. Because first of all, you have a headset on all day, and all you hear is people talking over each other, suggesting what you should do here, suggesting what you should do there. And I don't know about you guys, but me personally, I kind of need some alone time to actually think and let my subconscious do the work in a way, right? I can't really just on the spot force myself to think of something, especially when I know someone's watching my screen and watching me type. It's just a very foreign experience to me, and I don't think it's conducive to good productive work. And it also reduces a lot of the overall team's capacity, because if everyone's doing the one task, it's obviously not going to be good for the long term. It's not as efficient. Okay, so what is my final point here, though? What I'm trying to say is I knew down to my core that this was not for me. I would not want to do this for the long term. So very quickly, I established a boundary. And this is one thing we talk a lot about in overemployment, is you have to establish boundaries. And I would have honestly established this boundary whether I was overemployed or not. But what I did was I simply basically said, I will try to do this task by myself, and if I need help, I will reach out to you. And at first, the team members were pretty accepting of it, right? They didn't really push back because it wasn't a huge thing yet. It was like, okay, maybe just this one task. But slowly but surely, I started really enforcing that boundary, and I really just kind of made a line in the sand that I will not be pair programming every day, all day. And that's just not how I work. That is not my work style. And I'll kind of give you guys the whole transparent story here. So this got escalated all the way through all my team members to multiple managers, and many team members actually brought it up to managers, my manager including. And at the end of the day, they were actually supportive of me, that it was good for me to have my own work style, figure out a way that works for me so I can do my best for our team, right? And this was something that I wasn't scared of doing, also because I was overemployed, because I knew that whatever goes wrong, I'll still have another position. So that's one great thing about overemployment. You can kind of up the ante a little bit. You have more leverage. You're not scared that you're gonna be homeless if you lose your job because you're misbehaving at work, right? They don't have that same power over you. But my point is, I was able to push back on a whole team culture and change it. Now, I mostly changed it for myself, but I also opened the avenue to potentially other team members that join that team, or maybe other team members that wanted to do what I did, but realistically just didn't have the balls to do it, right? And if you have your own work style, you can always set that boundary for yourself at any job, right? So I really recommend you do that. And what ended up happening was it succeeded for me, right? I was able to establish that boundary, and I just started working like that for the long term. And I'll be honest, eventually the team culture just became a little too toxic for me, and there was pushback even more, but for other things not really related to pair programming. And it got to a point where I was focusing on the wrong things, and I was thinking to myself, I could just get another job 2, job 3, whatever. I don't really need this position. It's not really worth all the extra turmoil in my life, because I found myself thinking about it after work hours, and I'm like, that's a bad sign. I don't want to be doing that. I can find another position that doesn't stress me out unnecessarily. Stress is good, but not when you know you can find another position that's better, right? That's also another thing you have to realize. You can't think of any position as being the golden position, right? There will always be infinite upsides. You're not going to lose unlimited times, but you can always gain unlimited jobs, right? There's always new jobs. So don't really focus on just that one job. And you have to realize that all these rules at work that you follow and these unwritten rules of the office, of work culture, corporate America, a lot of them are unwritten, and you can push back on a lot of them. Meetings, pair programming, team cultures, all of these things can be bended and flexed to your desire, right? So don't be scared to introduce new boundaries at your workplace. And if you guys have any experience with this, leave a comment down below. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time.